5. Here we go again, continuing our little week down south with lots of things popping in the news. Let's get to some of those. Real quick, though, Blakely's Bouquets ready to hook you up if you haven't ordered your flowers yet for Valentine's Day. I think you still got time to get those orders in. Every year, though, at some point, like all the florists, they're going to get full. They're going to get at capacity, not just to get them delivered. They've got a really impressive delivery set up at Blakely's, but they got to be able to put all those arrangements together, and they're going feverishly as they always do. What you can count on, though, if you do get that order in, that it'll get delivered, it'll be beautiful, and they'll give you a follow-up text and let you know it made it. And I think that's one of my favorite things, because you get excited when you're doing something nice for somebody. You really want that feedback, that they're happy, that you made them happy, or you lifted them up. And that's one of my favorite things day in and day out, even when there is no holiday season to be giving flowers over. So make Blakely's your florist, your personal florist. It's good to just have a go-to florist, because you never know, sometimes the need for flowers just comes up. And when you've got them in your phone, you got them in your system, you can just reach out, get online. Now, the way they spell it, it's two names, Blake and Lee. Blake Lee's Bouquets. So spell it out right there online and reach out to them, and let's get that done. BlakeLee'sBouquets.com. All right, let me see where we want to start this hour. Let me do a couple of military stories, and then I got to get to another local story. We're just bouncing today. Again, 545-9950 if you want to be on the show. So we had two more military ships bang into each other. This was in the Caribbean. We've got a lot of military Navy activity going on, and I know this is just the law of averages. There's going to be, the more activity, the more ships moving around. There's a higher probability of contact. Apparently a destroyer hit or maybe the supply ship hit the destroyer, but two of those ships banged into each other. It's always an embarrassment for the Navy when that happens. We were having a spate of these accidents in the past. I think my personal theory on it is, though, the Navy was jealous that yesterday the Army shot down a party balloon and they needed to be in the news. So they decided overnight, why don't we jam two ships together and get in the news? So there they are. That just happens. Sometimes things happen like that. Then we got this. By the way, the headline last hour is the Senate just rejected a bill to keep Homeland Security open. It was 52-47. Naturally, a bunch of Republicans voting the wrong way. I'm not deep in that Senate debate, but we could have a partial government shutdown tomorrow night with Homeland Security, and here we go with that those theatrics. And then we got this. I just heard this in our headlines. I think Richard and Val in their show promo for tomorrow said they were going to take this up, and I haven't dug too deeply into it. But this is one of those things where I would take people that think differently than me in politics a little bit more seriously if they didn't do the laziest thing you can possibly do when you're making a political argument in the United States of America in 2026, which is whip out the race card. It is dead. It's expired. It doesn't work. It's silly. And so the Democrats have been caught just flat-footed over trying to do that with this voter ID law. The polling shows that black people don't even buy it. You're insulting African-American voters by saying they're too dumb to go get an ID or to use one, when we know all of us, no matter what color you are, have to use them all the time. Indeed, we had the picture in Congress from yesterday in the House of Representatives where the way they voted against the ID bill was to put their ID in the machine so they could vote for the ID bill or against it. So we get these dumb arguments that come up from time to time over these very same issues over and over and over again. And then, of course, one more argument that happened with that setup was it was very funny to me. One of them yesterday on the House side tried to say that the SAVE Act, which, by the way, Trump now wants to call the Save America Act. He wants to expand the definition to make it more patriotic sounding. I get that. But it's kind of a little late to change the branding on it, I think, at this point. But one of the Democrats, I think it was that transgender guy that's in the House for the Democrats, tried to make the point that women would be disenfranchised by this new law because when you get married, your name changes. And so suddenly you're not going to be able to go, you haven't had time to change your birth certificate with your name change. And so they may tell you can't vote. And that's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard, because women who get married normally, it's difficult. Yes, it's a hassle when you go through a name change. But I'm telling you what, you don't go change your birth certificate. You never do. You just, there it is. That's how you were born. Here's my married name. Here's my driver's license. I'm an American. Let me vote. it's not going to be questioned. They're just throwing stuff up to throw stuff up. So they pulled the race card, they pulled the woman card. They'll have to pull something else because this thing's. They don't have to pull much because Thune's a big old poon right now. Thune the poon in the Senate, still kind of holding out on playing tough and letting this thing get through. Then we have here at home this is what I was starting with this segment. Richard and Val teased this. I was like, what's that about? So I had to go look it up. We've got people complaining that the new Central Alabama Water Authority that took over for the Birmingham Water Works, which is a gigantic mess. It was a money-sucking scam for years, crappy billing, wasted money, stolen stuff, people getting overtime, buddies getting contracts. They're not the first government entity to do stuff like this, but they've been cleaned up, and they're still working on it. It's still a mess, and they've got a debt. I bet we are dealing with higher water rates before long to clean that mess up. But one of the things they started doing is any public entity like this needs to do is drug testing, right? Do you want, put it this way, you don't want a crackhead or somebody high on weed handling your water. Everything about utilities can be dangerous for the workers, utility line work. But this is something where we actually consume the product. We drink the damn product. It goes into our bodies. We want it done well. We want it done right. And you've got to maintain some integrity in your workforce when you're producing a product like this. All the way up and down from the people that do the pipes to the people that run the filtration plants and all the people that manage that system. They need to be on that kind of professional level because they're serving the public. So it's a no-brainer thing. Well, here come the complaints. And this time it's this Wandalyn Levan, and I think that's how she pronounces her name, who I'm intrigued by. Sometimes she makes a lot of sense, and she kind of makes me laugh because she's not afraid. She's not afraid to confront things, and I do admire that. But apparently down in the legislature, she's in the Alabama legislature, she's complaining that the drug testing is racist, that it's meant to target black people. So I'm listening. If they made a rule that all the black people have to get drug tested and the white people don't, she might have a point. But I have no reporting that that's the case at the water board. If they somehow found out the drug test somehow knows when you take it, it can tell who the race of the person peeing in the cup and discriminates against the person actually peeing in the cup because of race. If the drug test itself knows who's taking it and doesn't like any race or another race, well, maybe you could convince me. But I don't think the test knows that. The test just figures out who's on the drugs. It's the choice of the people on the drugs to be on the drugs and get yourself weeded out of the water board. It's pretty simple. I wouldn't want Hunter Biden, who the last time I checked, he's not black. Hunter Biden running the safety features for my water supply, would you? I don't know what all kind of drugs these folks are doing, but that's a pretty common sense thing. What happened is Birmingham had a play toy, and had millions of dollars flowing through it, and everybody that could get connected to it was in on it. And that's the way politics like that happens all over the state. Anytime there's a pot of money, it's really not an exception. But we've got to confront it and clean it up, especially over a utility that is so spread out. I think they're in 5 counties. They serve an area much bigger than the bubble that is the African-American power structure of Birmingham. If y'all want to do the good old boy network on your own terms over other stuff within the city limits, that's fine. The water board affects all of us, which is why they had to do the name change, because it is much broader than that. They had to broaden out the representation. They've got to clean that place up. You got to quit having people steal pipes, quit hiring incompetent consultants that don't know what they're doing on retainers where they don't even show up. You got to get the water flowing and fix the leaks. They're losing so much money through leaky infrastructure that's been neglected. It's insane. So every time the water board comes up, it does fire up people, and I get it. But that's one of the dumbest arguments I've seen in a long time, that somehow a drug test knows who's the race of the people taking a drug test. We keep doing that with things in society where people either pass the test or they don't pass the test. You either pass the test or you don't pass the test. I mean, hell, we started doing that in the school systems over math, so why not? I mean, math doesn't know what color you are if you can't do the damn problem. It either is or it ain't. It's pretty definitive. There's one answer on a math test. It's not multiple choice. There's one thing that's right when you do a math problem. But suddenly they were trying to convince us to move the goalpost and change the standards, which a lot of school systems did, and the kids are no better off for it. And now here in the public space, you've got a reasonable measure to ensure safety and quality of the workers that work for that board. And if people happen to get fired disproportionately, well, that's on them. Just tighten up, bro. Lay out the weed, man. Your employer will like you a lot better. You'll be a little more productive during the day. Do that on the weekends or something like that. Anyway, there's that story. I couldn't believe that when I heard that soundbite. 545-9950 Work Trucks is in downtown Birmingham. Y'all go see them if you've got a business and you're out there getting stuff done. Maybe you're a plumber and you work on some of these pipes and you need a truck outfitted with a service body for that. Well, they've got them down there. They've got them specific for those industry, electrical folks, people that need vans, those high-top Sprinter-type vans, cargo vans, passenger vans, of course, box trucks everywhere, even the big heavy-duty flatbeds. If you're hauling certain things in your business for those, these are all pre-owned, so you're going to save money, and they've been vetted. They go through and find the best of these off-lease all around the country. They get them all the way back to Birmingham, then they go through them. Bubba and the team will go through all 125 points on that checklist, have to be correct or it doesn't go on their lot. Then you can feel safe assured that somebody that knows what they're looking at has combed through this truck. You can go try to do that yourself. Maybe you're good like that, or you could spend all your time making your business run and making money and let them handle this part of fleet management, and they'll do that for you. When you wear that truck out, bring it back to them. They'll take your trade in. They'll get rid of that truck and get it out there on the market somewhere and get you one that's a quality truck from their lot at Work Trucks. TRUX, Work Trucks, LLC.com. Y'all reach out to them. Work Trucks. Put that X in there when you spell it. WorkTrucksLLC.com. Back here in just a minute. Leland Live, Talk 99.5. All right, here we go. 321, Leland Live, talking NM5 as sun's going down in here. How's the weather back there today, AJ? Still kind of cool, a little gloomy. Is it good?
No, it's actually it's kind of has a nice little chill, but it's not like too unbearable. And the sun is out. Man, it's beautiful out here.
You better enjoy that while you can. I think Sunday's the big rain day. It looked like kind of all weekend, but it's going to be kind of hit or miss. But Sunday's the big sort of do something at home kind of day. It could actually get a little stormy on Sunday too. We'll get y'all updated on those things as we roll along when the forecast improve. I tell you what, let's hit the phones again. We'll get a couple of phone calls in here as we head toward the bottom of 3. Line 2 is John in Talladega. What's up, John? What you know, man?
Hey, Leland. How you doing today?
Doing quite well.
Good. You play. First off, I love your bumper music, man. It's always so good. So.
Thank you.
You know, it's just good. Y'all did a great job with that. And today you played Got No Shame,
yeah,
by Brother Kane. And it just got me to thinking back, man, years ago. I mean, it seems like a lifetime ago. But and the guy that played the harmonica on that song was Papa Price, longtime Birmingham musician.
Incredible guy,
incredible guy, man. Played around Birmingham for years. And I was told, now I had a band, and we recorded at Airwaves back during that time, and we were recording at night when they were recording some of that stuff during the day. And I was told by a guy that Topper Price did that in one take.
Oh, man, that's amazing. I've seen him play live, and it wouldn't surprise me a bit. That guy just had it. He was amazing. He was also on that same Christmas album where he had his own song on that Christmas album where Brother Kane did one of my favorite Christmas songs that we play a lot during the Christmas season. So we're all excited. I don't know if you heard our announcement at the top, but they're headlining our Jawbone Jam this year on May the 15th. Tickets go on sale tomorrow. We're pumped about it.
No, I did not know that. I'll
come see us.
Get some tickets, man.
Do that.
That's really cool. Anyway, it just got me to thinking back on that, and I just wanted to share that. Topper Price was such a amazing guy, and you know, Topper Price and the Upsetters, and of course Damon being from Birmingham, just really cool memories. And I can remember seeing Topper back in the day, and the Topper Price and the Upsetters had a song they would play because sometimes Topper didn't show up, and it was called "Where's Topper."
Oh, is that right? That was it's a pretty good gimmick. Yeah, I like that. Hey, look, and nobody could fill in for him. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody live that could play a harp like that. That guy was amazing. But, John, look, we hope you get tickets and come see us on May the 15th. I'll give you all details on that again here in just a little bit. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, we talked about that right off the top of the show, so we're so pumped about the Jawbone Jam. Well, let me just plug it real quick, then I'll get to Richard. Jawbone Jam this year is May the 15th, Iron City, the perfect venue. Brother Kane's our headliner. A band called Stone Horse has been touring the country with them on this new tour with this reunion of theirs. Insanely good band. I'm really into them now that I've checked them out. And then my buddies in Cattle are going to open for all that. We got 3 amazing bands, one big night, 10th anniversary of the station. Bottom line is the tickets go on sale tomorrow at 10 at either Ticketmaster or the Iron City website. And you better jump in there and get them because this place is going to sell out in a hurry, and we want a big part of the Talk 995 audience to be there because these 3 bands could sell it out on their own even without our crowd. So let's get all our crowds together and have a big night at Iron City May 15th. It's a Friday night right there before summer really kicks in, and we're excited. Today at 9 we got to announce it, and then the ticket sites went up, but they've got this countdown till they formally go on sale tomorrow. So get them while they're hot on those different venue websites. Here's Richard DeCopp next up, line 3. What's up, Richard DeCopp? How you doing, man?
I want to talk to you about Gwendolyn Gavan and her stupidity.
All right.
That emu looking woman has no idea. Now
we ain't got to be mean. We ain't got to be mean, Richard.
Anyway,
on, man.
I have about 30 people a week get in my car when I'm doing Uber Lyft. Just smell like they just come out of a marijuana house fire. And I had to buy a special spray off Amazon called Blunt Power to keep it out of my car.
Really? It's like Febreze
yeah.
for potheads? I didn't know this existed.
Little bitty small bottles, $18 for 3 bottles, 3 sprays. You got to roll the window down to keep the strawberry from killing you. It's an oil-based thing, so it'll smell like that for several days. But when you got that many people getting in and out of the car, it kind of causes a problem. The problem she's going at, the angle she's going at, Leland, is certain people in the community, it's a cultural thing to use marijuana.
I get it.
And I drug tested. I was a DOT drug tester for several years for a little company here in Birmingham. And we'd go out and draw urine samples and ship them off and do breath testing. And then in my law enforcement career, I've been a Roche Labs drug tester. And so for one of my agencies. And so the thing of it is, they can go to work for Amazon, because do you know how many Amazon drivers I take to Crestwood and drop off to get in a truck smelling like dope?
Man,
do you know how many Amazon people I take to Bedford, to that one, to go work with them robots that smell like dope?
Hey, I had an Amazon driver. I walked past the van with him. I smelled weed. I was like, where's that weed come from? And I saw it coming out of the window. I was like, hey, don't ask, don't tell. They can do what they want. Look, if that's the lifestyle you choose, I don't care. But I don't really want you working at the waterworks. There's some other jobs you could be doing. Go to Starbucks and make coffee.
About Amazon, I had somebody that works for one of these temp agencies that recruits for Amazon in my car about a month and a half ago.
Yep.
And he said, we drug test for Amazon with this particular guy. And he goes, they can fail the drug tests, and Amazon will hire them. And if they couldn't hire people that tested positive for marijuana, they couldn't hire nobody.
Look, it's around. It's in different companies that have these policies. Some people have P-tests, some people don't. I've got friends that work in sensitive industries where they just know it's part of life. They vehemently avoid any kind of exposure to pot smoke because it's so everywhere nowadays. But there are other professions where they don't care, and so if you wanna do weed and you're doing it legally, it ain't any of my business. But you got to have a job that's compatible with that, or they're not gonna check you. The Waterworks is a reasonable place for people to be tested for drugs. It just is. It just is.
Well, the statement she made leads me to believe, and I don't know, I wasn't there, that majority of people got caught were of one persuasion.
Well, that's what she said. She said it was targeting black people because more black people are getting fired for it, and that may be the case, but that's not. There's no evidence that's the motivation. The motivation of it is to have a drug-free workforce with our damn water supply. How about that?
Yep. Get rid of lazy folks. That's motivation. Roll Tide, boys.
Look, and some people would argue it's even generational. There's a whole lot less stigma if you're under 40 about that kind of recreational use than in other places. But this is the damn water supply. Can we at least have that off limits from the people that, if you can go get high, go get a job in radio or something. I don't know. Back in a minute. It's 3:35, Leland Live, Talk 99.5. Let's get on with it again. All American Metals bring you the show tonight. If you're in business, and I talk a lot about the residential products they do at All American, like our pole barns like mine, or sheds, or other things like that. Barn dominiums, people are building whole living structures out of this steel construction technique. But if you're in business and you're going to expand this year, or start a business this year, or grow a business, whether it's retail, or if you've got a warehousing operation where you need more space, whatever it is you do, maybe you got to get your production lab together to drop some beats. I don't know what you do for a living, but you need space. You just can't beat the speed, the value of steel construction. And All American is a great local two-family business that's been around since the 60s that completely controls the production of your building. In other words, it starts with design. That's got to be right. You're going to need some stamp plans to get approvals for this and that, or to even also work with your whoever's going to do your concrete pad and maybe your electrical and plumbing to get all that laid out. You're going to need the plan, so they'll produce that for you. And when you're ready to go and you're ready to expand and get on it this year with the growing and improving economy, All American is there right by your side for your expansion. They can get that commercial building built. They control the whole process. They make all the parts, the framing, the primary and secondary framing, everything that holds that together, the sheet metal packages, of course. They bend their own metal, which is one of my favorite things I saw on the tour, watching those big steel sheets go through there and come out on the other end, and those patterns. Pretty cool process, and they'll do it all to order for your project, pack it up and get it to you, get it delivered to your site, even help you with help if you need a contractor to get it out of the ground. They work with so many of our great contractors to get this thing vertical. Work with them, and you'll love the experience. And I promise you're going to get this. They're going to be custom, and they're going to be cheaper than the big boys, and you're going to get your turnaround a whole lot quicker, both with the plans and the production of the materials. It's All American Metals. You can get them online and see some of their products at aa-metal.com, aa-metal.com. All right, so we got a lot of Senate action. Let's just go back to some policy stuff for a minute. On the Senate floor right now, pretty raucous day as far as the Senate goes. They just voted down a Homeland Security funding bill. I understand they're also debating right now a bill that would end sanctuary cities, and a lot of that's going around. Lindsey Graham just kind of showed off on the floor of the Senate. And then our own Katie Britt went to the well just a little while ago and had stuff to say on this bill as they're all talking on it. As they say, this is a couple minutes long, but I wanted you to hear what your senator had to say on the floor as this debate's going back and forth. All of it centered around improving the immigration issue in this country.
Failed border policies allowed for millions to come across our border unvetted, when there were American citizens who paid the price in that moment, Mr. President, like Jocelyn Nungary, who was 12 years old and raped and left under a bridge, like Laken Riley, who fought for her life for 17 minutes, Mr. President, before her skull was bashed in. And we kept saying, we've got to do more to secure our border. And our Democratic colleagues said that takes legislation. It can't be done. Well, we know that's not true, because all we needed was a new president who secured our border and helps to make our country safe. Look, I believe we are a nation of immigrants. We're also a nation of laws. And the lawlessness has to stop. But even in the midst of all of that, fentanyl overdoses at an all-time high, Mr. President, we didn't shut the department down. Not one time. And today, Democrats are choosing to shut the department down. We have exchanged texts. That's what you do in a negotiation. You work to find a pathway forward. There was an announcement today that shows we are operating in good faith. I don't know why people who have nothing to do with this are going to have to pay the price for us continuing to work to find a pathway forward. Mr. President, it would be different if we had thrown up our hands and said, nah, we're not going to send you anything back. We want this to work. We believe in our laws, we believe in enforcing them, and we believe in the men and women who do that. And so this is an unfortunate day. It's a sad day. It's certainly not one that had to happen. I want to be very clear. All we're asking for is 2 weeks to continue this conversation, to figure out how to make this work, and to do what's right for all American citizens. Mr. President, I yield the floor.
Not too bad considering, she tends to be a little bit theatrical, and she was with some of the sound bites and phrases we've heard on this issue before. But before the end, I'll be honest with you, she had a good point, and that was that there are people that have nothing to do with any of this gamesmanship in the Senate, these people that are posing to try to look tough to their own base in a mid-year election where they need to get their own base out, and they have riled up their base to the point where they think fighting the deportation of criminals is a just cause. They are out in the streets confronting ICE agents, holding up signs, walking out of schools, as if they're on some morality play, and they've convinced themselves of that. They think what they're doing is just and justified, and it's not. It's immoral and it's wrong. You can see from the plummeting crime numbers already in our society that closing the border has worked. You can see from the plummeting fentanyl deaths that working on this problem and this massive humanity that came in here, it actually worked. Today, you had Homeland Security and Tom Homan say, we're going to draw down our forces in Minneapolis. We've been there long enough. We've found thousands of missing children. They've arrested thousands of criminals and taken them off the street in that city. And all that has been effective by that measure. But at some point, they do have to redistribute. It's probably smart to keep the optics down of these yahoos trying to fight with our law enforcement in the streets. That's a no-win situation politically, and the only way to win it physically in the streets is to go crush those people, and that's kind of what they want. They've been goading Trump to come in there and do that with troops, and Trump wisely chose the higher road on this thing. Now what you've got in the Senate is an argument over a 2-week extension to just keep the funding going so these brave men and women that work in all kinds of agencies over in the Coast Guard, in the Border Patrol, in other agencies all throughout Homeland Security with the FEMA work that's being done right now, post-disaster, to keep that funding going. Let's continue to negotiate. But the Dems want to stunt, and they fired up the Republicans over all this stuff that's in the bill, including this idea of sanctuary cities, which in of itself should be just an unconstitutional thing. A city, a governor, a mayor, even the one here in Birmingham, you can't declare yourself somehow above federal law. That's never been a thing that's accepted anywhere in the United States. Ask George Wallace. Ask the civil rights folks that wanted to deny people their rights in the 1960s in our own damn state, how declaring your own sovereignty and deciding you're above it all and you don't have to comply, how that works out. It played out the same way it's going to eventually play out here. So good on the Senate to continue to move forward with this. This is all the while we're trying to get some publicity around the SAVE Act. We'd love to see that situation move forward, but we just don't know if it's ever going to get the votes. At last count in the Senate, it was at 48. They need at least 50 plus J.D. Vance, and then they've got to get an actual standing filibuster. If you're not going to get rid of the filibuster, you've got to make anybody that chooses to filibuster have to stand there and physically filibuster this bill until you wear them down and get your vote. And so maybe we're in for that, but right now they're hung up particularly on this Homeland Security funding, which I can't believe the Republicans allowed the Democrats to carve this out anyway. But in some ways it does. It got the other government funding going, and it isolated an issue that when you poll it, and let's just go to raw politics, when you poll this issue, these Republicans have the wind at their back. They have the high ground on this issue politically heading into the midterms. But we'll see how it plays out. They continue to debate in the Senate. 545-9950 if you want to get on the show tonight. Let's go. We're doing our thing right and left and getting things done. We'll put you on the radio too. Lonnie's Furniture Company bringing you the show tonight. Let me read you the message I was telling you about earlier. Reggie sent me this. I just thought it was kind of cool. He keeps me up to date on all the things they've got going on through the holidays, through President's Day, and I'm going to give you some of that. But somewhere it looks like maybe a Google review. Somebody gave them 5 stars, and this is what they wrote about Lonnie's. It said, we first heard about them on Leland Live and decided to check them out. We're glad we did. The selection was outstanding. The staff is second to none. Their pricing was very competitive, and gladly would drive 65 miles to do business with them again. It is absolutely worth it. Our Lazy Boy recliner was a fantastic purchase. we will definitely be back. Gave them 5 stars. Hey, now, that's right. They heard it here on the show. That's what I've been telling y'all. Yep, they've got the President's Day sale going on. Let me give you some highlights. There are too many things, really, for me to cram into one commercial for Lanius. But here we go. If you going to get out and do some shopping this weekend, especially with the weather not being so nice, check this out. With the Lazy Boys, they got a 20% off deal going right now. That is, you would normally have one of these recliners might have cost you $999. It's on sale for $799 right now. You can get a pair of them at that price. Their Stressless line, which is a high-end line, they don't ever really run a sale on it because the demand's there and there's a premium price on this product. They're knocking 10% off Stressless through President's Day. So if you've been interested in that line of ergonomic furniture, go see them. The Row swivel chairs are 10% off. They got $800 off Stearns & Foster adjustable base mattresses, $500 off Tempur-Pedic adjustable base mattress sets. So take them up on it. Go see them now through President's Day. They've already started the sale. And get yourself a deal at Lanius Furniture Company, exit 280. I don't ever say 280 because y'all might confuse that with Highway 280. It is up there in Kimberly, North Jefferson County. Not too far off the interstate. Easy to find, and you'll love the staff there and everything about them. Everything that person wrote on that review is absolutely true. It's LaniusFurnitureCompany.com. Y'all go see them. Okay, it's 3:51. Leland Live, Talk 99.5. Let's talk about Ox Foundation Solutions again. That is a wonderful company, and if you suspect anything is wrong with your foundation, one way to know is just kind of peek around. You may not be an expert on foundations, but you can tell when a door is sticky or a window won't open or cracks appear. And, of course, any presence of water or moisture, you can smell it, or sometimes, of course, you can see it, and you don't want any of that. That is signs of more trouble to come. Get Ox to come over and remediate that as soon as you can. They'll handle all of it. If you've got a full house slipping, they can handle the entire leveling of your house with those helical piers. That's on the bigger end of some of the projects they do. Otherwise, repairing the cracks, getting the water out, sealing your house off from that, dealing with any kind of residual mold or mildew that can get in your house. When that stuff starts happening, boy, that means now your house is getting sick. There's mold, spores, and allergens in the air. All that's coming from underneath. You want to get that out of your house. And then, of course, finally is encapsulation, where they're going to seal everything off. That's both a thermal and a moisture barrier and really protects not only your home, but everybody in it from all of that stuff, including your heating and air system, because it's having to work overtime if your house is not properly insulated underneath. Y'all check it out. It's Ox Foundation Solutions, Ox Strong, OX, oxstrong.com, oxstrong.com. So I'm just sitting here scrolling around watching the debate going on, particularly with the Homeland Security bill, and I just saw someone note that Homeland Security has not had, the Senate does not have another vote scheduled for 11 days. I don't know if they're going on a 1 week recess for some reason, because they take a lot of recesses and go jaunt about and go home, some of them. But we'll see if that turns into anything else. That is as disappointing as we're heading into this partial shutdown tonight. And, man, that's just nuts. Now, Thune can call them back, but now you're talking about all of these very important very, very important agencies not having funding and having to work around it. The last time they did the whole shutdown, if you remember, the biggest agency that caught it on the chin really was the TSA. They were having to come in and continue to manage those flight control towers and do all that stuff. And a lot of them continue to do it. Trump even proposed at one point that the people that did work, some of them had the option to call out or to come in anyway, and a lot of them dutifully came in to do that high-stress job. And you're going to see that, too. A lot of folks that wear a badge or work in these agencies, they see it as much more than a paycheck. If you are out there riding around right now in your cop car or protecting the rest of us, you know what I mean. There's certain jobs that are just callings. I think people are called to teach if they're good at it, not the bad ones. Obviously, people get called into the ministry. Some people are called into medicine. Some would argue all of us have a calling, and whatever we're doing is our calling. But in this case, you've got people that are so dedicated to the mission itself and to putting that uniform every day and looking out for the people on there left and right and protecting the borders and running those Coast Guard ships and doing all the Homeland Security things that they do. They'll show up for work. They'll show up and they'll do the job, and we probably won't notice. But it is miserable to let them, because of just these government phony deadlines. Y'all, all of these are phony. And it does go back, if I wanted to pass some blame, I think it kind of starts with electing the wrong Senate majority leader that's allowed things to get a little bit chaotic on the Senate side, where the Democrats even think they can flex this way after failing miserably. Remember the Schumer shutdown? That was the Senate. That was the Senate side that did that. It was an ugly episode. They quickly pivoted to Epstein. That blew up on them too. Then they pivoted to something else. And now they're back to the shutdown politics. And it's all over this notion of Homeland Security. And I'm not going to rant about this the rest of the day, but it's just a shame for the victims that want that need to get justice in these cases being pursued all over the country, to people that have fallen victim to this immigration wave. And by the way, a note on that, and it's obvious, but I'll bear repeating it. I heard somebody today, I think it was when I was out on my walk, just listening to the news. It's a constant news stream all day. I heard some Democrat somewhere, it might have been Tim Walz, talk about the chaos that's been created by Homeland Security, that they brought chaos to Minneapolis, or they're bringing chaos in these arrests, and they keep vilifying these agents. The agents are not the chaos. The chaos is the 20 million people that the last administration let across the border. And that's an estimate. We don't even know. The chaos was all those people standing under that bridge that day. You remember that? When they didn't even know where the hell to go. They were under a bridge, on foot, sneaking into the country, did not even know where to go, standing in the sun. It was a humanitarian crisis. And immediately after that, the administration started just flying them in here so we wouldn't see them. They would fly them into airports and hide them and put up black tarp so that they could move them through an airport and hold them at these airports until they could get them on buses and move them into the interior. They were functionally inactive. The last administration was working with drug cartels to move these people. They would get their way through these NGOs and these other agencies, picked up in their home country and moved closer to the United States, at least the ones that came across the southern border. Others came from all over the world on airplanes. You don't get here from Somalia by walking. They flew these people in and distributed them around the country for their own political benefit, for their own political security, for the dynamics of all that stuff. And here we are trying to deal with that fallout. So, yes, it's going to be chaotic. When they won't go home, when they've been advised that you're now, you got to go. The border's closed. If you're not supposed to be here, if you've got a deportation order, you have to go home. And then they won't leave. And then we find out about the stolen money. And then we've got the crime wave that goes through it. Everything about that kind of bum rush of citizens into this country, it drove up housing costs. It drove up the cost of schools. It crowded out the emergency rooms. You can't put that many people in a new place, especially people that come with different values and different languages, and do it all at once and expect assimilation or anything that approaches sanity. So we already had chaos. We had chaos from the time they threw the borders open, and now we're trying to unwind the chaos. And sometimes you've got to meet chaos with chaos. It's going to take an aggressive action. It's going to take a concerted effort. It's going to take resources, and in some cases, some arrests and detentions to be able to pull this off. And this administration is going to keep at it until the last day they're in office. We don't know who's going to win the midterms or the presidency after that, but we know we have this moment right now that needs to be met, and that has to be reverse engineered just to take the pressure off the cities, off the police forces, off the border itself, off everybody involved in this system, off the TSA, off every government agency is having to deal with this bum rush of humanity. It's too many people, too fast, no matter where they came from. Eastern Europe, Western Europe, the Caribbean, South America, you can't take that many people and shove them into a country and expect it all to just go swimmingly, especially when a lot of them don't damn want to. They didn't come here to be Americans. They came here to take or to find a better place to live under their own standards. And if their country was so significant, why didn't they stay there? Oh, I felt myself having a little sermon there for a minute. Maybe I need to chill out. Let's take the top of the hour break, and we'll be right back. Let me give you a beauty shot on the way out. What are we looking at? I'm going to buy that house and quit, AJ.